Okay, I want you to do something for me, just for a second. Close your eyes and picture Alzheimer's disease.
Right.
When you conjure up that image, who do you see? You're probably picturing, someone in their late 70s, maybe 80s, right?
A grandparent, maybe?
Exactly. Forgetting where they put their keys, something like that. But what if I told you that image, the one we all have, is actually the end credits of the movie, not the opening scene?
That is precisely the misconception we need to just dismantle right now. The pathology of Alzheimer's, the biological fire that burns down the house, it doesn't start when you forget a name in your 70s.
When does it start?
It starts when you are in your 30s.
That's a genuinely terrifying thought. In your 30s, you feel invincible. You're building your career, your brain feels sharp. But you're saying the clock is already ticking.
It is. And that's really the hook of the deep dive we're doing today.
Yeah.
We are unpacking a really dense, fascinating conversation with Louisa Nicola.
Right, the neurophysiologist.
Exactly. She works with everyone from neurosurgeons to, NBA athletes.
Mm-hmm.
And her message is stark. By the time you see symptoms, the damage has been compounding for 20, maybe 30 years.
Okay, so the mission here isn't to scare everyone into a panic attack.
No, absolutely not. The goal is the opposite. It's empowerment.
Right. We want to move past the fear and get to what she calls the biological shortcuts, the specific, actionable things we can do right now to build, a bulletproof brain.
And we have to, because the numbers are, they're staggering.
What are we looking at?
We are looking at 60 million people worldwide with Alzheimer's. And by 2050, that number is projected to triple.
Wow.
And here's the statistic that often gets kind of glazed over, but it's critical. 70% of those cases are women.
70%. That is a massive gender gap. We are definitely going to get into why later on, but
Yeah.
before we all get discouraged, there's a huge silver lining in her data, isn't there?
A huge one. I think this is the most critical takeaway from her whole argument. 95% of Alzheimer's cases are not purely genetic.
Wait, hold on. 95%?
Yep. They're lifestyle driven.
I think most people assume if their parents had it, it's written in their DNA, it's inevitable.
And that's the fatalism we have to avoid. Now, there is a distinction to be made. There are some very specific genetic mutations, like on chromosome 4, that are deterministic.
Okay.
If you have that, you will get the disease. But that's only, 3 to 5% of all cases? It's incredibly rare.
So for almost everyone else?
For everyone else, you might have risk factors, like the APOE4 gene. That's the one Chris Hemsworth famously has. It definitely increases your risk, but it does not seal your fate.
So how should we think about that gene then?
Think of it like this. You're driving a car with thin tires. Your margin for error is just smaller. You can't drive over potholes, meaning, poor lifestyle choices, the way other people can without getting a flat. But if you maintain the road,
you don't crash.
You don't crash.
So we have agency. That's the good news. But to use that agency, we need to know what we're actually fighting. What is physically happening inside the skull?
Atrophy. The brain is literally shrinking. An MRI of a healthy brain looks like a ripe grape, right? Tight, full. The sick brain looks like a raisin.
A raisin.
The gray matter has thinned out, and the ventricles, these little fluid cavities in the center, they've expanded because the tissue all around them has died off.
And on a microscopic level, what's doing the killing?
You've got two main villains. First, amyloid beta. Think of this as like plaque or gunk that builds up outside the neurons. It's trash in the streets.
Okay, trash in the streets, blocking traffic.
Exactly. Then you have tau protein, and tau is arguably worse. It lives inside the neurons. Its job is to stabilize these things called microtubules.
Which are
like railroad tracks. They transport all the nutrients inside the cell. But in Alzheimer's, tau gets corrupted. It tangles up.
And when the support tangles?
The railroad tracks collapse. The neuron starves, and it dies.
So trash outside, collapsed train tracks inside. The city is it's shutting down.
It is. But, and this is the concept that changes everything, you can have a brain full of plaque and tangles and have died at 90 with 0 symptoms.
How is that even possible?
It's called cognitive reserve. Think of it like a bank account. It's not just about the number of neurons you have, it's the number of connections between them. A healthy neuron can have 5 to 10,000 connections.
So it's about redundancy.
Precisely. If you have high cognitive reserve, you've built so many roads between point A and point B that if one gets blocked by plaque, your brain just instantly reroutes traffic. You don't even notice.
I love that analogy. It shifts the goal from don't get plaque to build more roads. So how do we pour that pavement? And this brings us to a really uncomfortable truth, especially for anyone listening with a desk job, the active sedentary trap.
Ugh, yeah. This is a term from the Cleveland Clinic that it felt like a personal attack when I first read it.
Mm.
Active sedentary is someone who, goes to the gym for an hour, crushes it, does everything right, and then sits in a chair for the next 10 hours.
I feel seen, and I don't like it. You think that hour buys you a pass?
That's the mistake. Prolonged sitting shuts down an enzyme called lipoprotein lipase. It's essential for burning fat and clearing glucose. If you sit for 10 hours, that enzyme just switches off.
So you can look fit, but metabolically you're stalling out.
Exactly.
What's the fix? Don't say standing desk.
You don't need one. Nicola's rule is the 10 air squats rule. Every hour, stand up, do 10 simple air squats.
Just 10, that's it.
That's it. It's not about burning calories. It's about signaling. That brief contraction in your legs is enough to wake that enzyme back up. It's actually more effective for managing glucose than one long 30-minute walk.
Okay, air squats every hour? I can do that. Now let's go back to the gym, because she's very specific about the type of exercise that builds brain structure, and it's not light weights.
No, she's adamant. You need to lift heavy.
Okay.
We're talking 80% of your 1-rep max.
Why does the weight on the bar matter to the neurons in my head?
Chemical signals. When you contract a muscle against heavy resistance, it releases these messengers called myokines.
Like text messages from your muscles.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And one specific myokine, irisin, it travels through the blood, crosses the blood-brain barrier, and triggers the release of BDNF.
Brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Fertilizer for the brain.
Exactly. It literally grows new neurons, specifically in the hippocampus, your memory center. So lifting heavy weights, it grows the part of your brain that Alzheimer's attacks first.
That is wild. Your brain is getting bigger.
It is. She also mentions IL-6. We think of it as inflammatory, but from exercise, it's actually anti-inflammatory in the brain. It helps clean up the junk.
And she really focused on one body part.
The legs.
Always leg day.
Always. She cites this twin study. Identical twins, same genes. 10 years later, the twin with the stronger legs had a physically larger brain and better cognitive function.
So if you can only do one exercise, what is it?
The deadlift.
King of lifts.
It engages the most muscle mass at once. The more muscle, the bigger the flood of those myokines to the brain.
Okay, so squat every hour, deadlift heavy. Now cardio, because there's a plumbing issue here, right?
It is strictly plumbing. Your heart pumps blood to the brain first. If your arteries are stiff, the pressure wave hitting the brain is too hard. It causes leaky brain.
Like leaky gut.
Similar idea. The blood-brain barrier is like a bouncer at a club. Stiff arteries damage the bouncer. Toxins get into the VIP section.
So we need a young heart to keep the bouncer at the door.
Yes. And this brings us to the Ben Levine study, which is it's landmark research. He took 50-year-olds, and in 2 years, he reversed the aging of their hearts by 20 years.
He turned 50-year-old hearts into 30-year-old hearts.
He did.
How? What was the protocol?
It was intensity. The magic ingredient was the Norwegian 4x4.
Okay, break that down.
It's an interval.
Yeah.
You go for 4 minutes at 90 to 95% of your max heart rate. This is zone 5. You are gasping for air.
Okay, talk.
Cannot talk. You rest for 3 or 4 minutes. Repeat that 4 times.
That sounds awful.
It's grueling. But that's what keeps the heart elastic. Zone 2 is good, but Zone 5 is the anti-aging efficiency hack.
And there's a deadline on this, right?
Unfortunately, yeah. The heart loses its ability to remodel after age 65. Midlife is the critical window. You cannot wait.
Okay, let's switch from movement to fuel. There's this theory that Alzheimer's is a metabolic crisis, type 3 diabetes.
Right. The theory is that the brain becomes insulin resistant.
Wow.
It loses the ability to use glucose. So it's flooded with fuel, but the spark plugs aren't firing.
And this comes back to the women, that 70% number.
It comes down to menopause. Estrogen is hugely protective of the brain's energy metabolism. When estrogen drops, brain glucose metabolism can drop by 30%.
30%, that's a massive energy crisis.
It's starving. And when the brain starves, it does something terrifying. It starts to cannibalize itself, specifically the myelin sheath.
The insulation around the wires.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It eats its own infrastructure to keep the lights on.
So how do we give it an alternative fuel so it doesn't eat itself?
Ketones. When the brain can't use glucose, it loves ketones. This is why a ketogenic diet or using exogenous ketones could be so protective. It keeps the lights on without burning the house down.
Speaking of fuel, there was a white powder that Nicola was incredibly excited about, creatine.
Creatine has such a bad PR problem. People think it's just for bodybuilders.
Right, or that it makes you lose your hair or something.
All of which are largely debunked. She is adamant. Creatine is essential for brain energy. It recycles ATP, the cell's energy currency.
But the dosage she mentioned was surprising. The standard scoop is 5 grams. She says that's not enough for the brain.
No, your muscles are greedy. They soak up that first 5 grams. To get it to overflow and actually saturate the brain, you need higher doses. She mentioned a pilot study on Alzheimer's patients using up to 20 grams a day.
20 grams, that's 4 scoops.
It is. But they saw patients recover cognitive function. Now, obviously, talk to your doctor, but the point is 5 grams might not be hitting the neural target.
And then there's omega-3s, fish oil. But she dropped a bomb about the quality.
The fridge rule. This is something I'm doing from now on.
No.
Omega-3s are incredibly unstable. They oxidize. They go rancid very easily.
And rancid oil is inflammatory.
It's the opposite of what you want. She says something like 95% of fish oil on the shelf is probably oxidized.
So what's the protocol?
You need a brand that's third-party tested, NSF certified, and the moment you buy it, it goes in the fridge. Treat it like fresh salmon, not like a vitamin.
Okay, so we've covered the body. Now, the mind itself. And not in a vague crossword puzzles way. She talks about a specific part of the brain, the AMCC.
The anterior mid-cingulate cortex. This might be the most fascinating to hear the whole thing. Scientists are starting to see this as the seat of the will to live.
That's a heavy title.
It earns it. Super-agers, people in their 90s with sharp brains, have huge AMCCs. But here's the catch. This part of the brain only grows when you do things you do not want to do.
So if I like taking ice baths, doesn't count?
Correct. If you enjoy it, no growth. It requires resistance. It grows when you override that voice telling you to quit. When you hate the cold water and force yourself in, that's when it grows.
So our pursuit of comfort is actually shrinking this part of our brain.
Literally. If your life is perfectly comfortable, your willpower muscle withers away.
She also gave us a practical drill, something to train processing speed.
The neuroathletics drill.
Oh.
So you take a tennis ball, throw it against a wall, right hand, left hand. Simple.
Too simple.
Exactly. To make the brain adapt, you stress it. So stand on one leg while you do it.
Okay,
Then put on an eye patch.
Now we're pirates.
Now you're stripping away depth perception. Your brain has to work overtime. That forces neuroplasticity. It speeds up your processing.
Okay, let's unpack this brain health stack we've built. It's a pretty solid list.
It is. So to recap, 1, air squats every hour. 2, heavy deadlifts.
To get those myokines flowing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
3, zone 5 cardio, that Norwegian 4x4. 4, high-dose creatine, fresh omega-3s from the fridge, and maybe ketones.
And
do things that suck to grow your AMCC and try that pirate tennis ball drill.
And there was a specific note for women about hormones.
Yes, she's clear the data she sees supports hormone replacement therapy, or HRT. Estrogen is protective. Replacing it during that critical menopause window can prevent that metabolic crash in the brain. It's a conversation every woman should be having with her doctor.
The theme here really feels like use it or lose it, but on steroids.
It's more like stress it or lose it. The brain craves challenge, heavyweights, hard cardio, difficult tasks. We try to make life easier, but biologically that ease is a signal to our brain that it's okay to start shutting down.
Which brings us to a final thought. This AMCC, the will to live muscle, if we engineer all the struggle out of our lives, are we accidentally engineering our own decline?
That is the question, isn't it? The biology suggests the pursuit of a comfortable life is physically shrinking our brains. So the question for you listening is this. What hard thing did you avoid today? Because that thing, it might have been the exact medicine your brain needed.
Go do the hard thing. Thanks for diving in with us.
See you next time.